AIO, fiance asked me to not wear white at our wedding.
Have you ever watched the show I Love a Mama's Boy? If you haven't, you'd probably still understand how I feel, because that show is literally my life.
I'm 27, a woman, and I've been with Alex, 28, since high school. We loved each other deeply, but we had to break up because of his mom, Bella, 53. She convinced Alex that we were too young to have a serious relationship and didn't know what love was. After the breakup, we both went to college, but in my sophomore year, we started talking again on social media. Alex apologized for hurting me, told me he missed me terribly, and said he wanted us to get back together. From that point on, things got complicated. When Bella found out we were back together, she completely lost it and started crying uncontrollably. She didn't just cry, she told Alex that I'd put some sort of spell on him, and that was why he couldn't break free from my influence. I honestly can't understand how she could believe something so absurd. I've always respected her, not just because I was raised to respect my elders, but also because I value the respect I have for my own mother. But clearly, Bella has taken advantage of that respect to manipulate everything in Alex's life. Since we got back together, Bella has tried every possible way to set Alex up with other women. Not just girls she knows from church or work, but even her own friends have been suggested as potential matches for him. Alex has turned them all down, but Bella hasn't given up. She's even told him I'm controlling and too strict. Alex has tried to make her understand and stop, but not in a way that I think would actually get through to her. 3 months ago, Alex proposed to me. I thought that was a good sign that things were changing, that we could have a happy future together. However, Bella didn't come to our engagement party. She also didn't come to the family dinner we organized so both our families could meet. I was disappointed, but tried to understand that everyone has their own way of showing love. Unfortunately, the problem didn't end there. Alex's dad came to the dinner, apologized for Bella's behavior, and told me he couldn't change her because he'd left her when Alex graduated from high school. Even though he apologized, I just wanted to tell him not to worry. I didn't blame him for his ex-wife's actions. Things got really tense when Alex decided to confront his mom about her behavior throughout our engagement. That's when it all became clear to him. Bella wasn't just a mom who loved her son, she was a woman trying to control every aspect of our lives. Bella told Alex a sad story about how she got pregnant before marriage and never had a real wedding. This story seemed to deeply affect her, and it was why she opposed all our decisions. She only had a simple courthouse wedding without a party or ceremony. Alex asked her what she needed to feel at ease with our wedding, and she said that if she could wear a white dress to our wedding and I wore a pale pink or purple dress, she'd feel better about it. The shocking part is that Alex thought this was a reasonable solution. He even suggested that his mom could walk me down the aisle so she could have that special moment in her dress. I was stunned and immediately rejected the idea. We had a huge fight. I told Alex it was insane that he was willing to protect his mother's honor, but not mine. Alex called me selfish and petty. The argument was so intense that we almost decided to cancel the wedding. Now, things are very uncomfortable. I still love Alex, but I can't ignore the fact that he's let his mom control so much of our lives. I can imagine Bella sitting at home laughing because she knows she's slowly destroying our relationship while Alex continues to act like her puppet. I feel like I'm at a crossroads and I'm starting to wonder if I should cancel the wedding. Am I being too demanding over a couple of color differences? Or am I dealing with a much bigger issue that needs to be resolved? I tried to bring up some issues I couldn't express before because I was too angry and upset. After work, I met Alex at home. I'd gone to the gym to blow off some steam. We sat down to talk about everything and made a plan to have a conversation with his mom. Alex came home looking regretful. He admitted that he was anxious about the conversation and had confided in a colleague or friend about my unwillingness to compromise. Apparently, his friend, God bless them, had bluntly called him out for being childish and indecisive. This infuriated me even more. Why is it that when I bring up these issues, it's a problem, but when another man points them out, he suddenly starts to reconsider? That's when I started presenting the points I had prepared in advance. First, I pointed out how easily he could be manipulated by others. This became even more evident when I highlighted that he was willing to listen to advice from someone else, but not from his own girlfriend. Although his friend agreed with me, I still felt hurt and disappointed that he wouldn't listen to me in the first place. It made me feel even more disrespected. Second, I addressed how his mom constantly tries to sabotage our relationship with her unreasonable demands. He seemed more receptive to this now, realizing how absurd it was to retell these stories to others without recognizing the ridiculousness himself. I compared it to the idea of a father removing a bride's garter at a wedding, and finally, he understood. Third, I confronted him about agreeing to his mom's outrageous requests without ever discussing them with me. He insisted he had never done that and claimed he would only tell her he'd check with me first before making a decision. I asked him how he didn't realize that his mom wanting to walk down the aisle at our wedding was utterly bizarre. He said it was just a dress to him, nothing significant, and he didn't want his mom to feel excluded from the wedding. I told him that if he didn't change his thinking immediately, there wouldn't be a wedding at all. He finally said he understood and wouldn't let this happen again. Fourth, I pointed out how blatantly his mom showed her dislike for me. She didn't even request to wear white alongside me, as if that weren't weird enough, but outright stated that I couldn't wear white, as if I were unworthy or impure. I explained that if she felt uncomfortable seeing me in a white dress, that was a huge problem. He said he didn't see it that way, only that she claimed seeing me in white made her emotional. I asked him if he realized his mom was trying to act like the bride at his wedding. At last, he began to see things differently. I also asked him if, in the future, from the wedding to having children to Mother's Day, I would always have to take a back seat to his mom. Would I always have to make way for her? He firmly said no and admitted he had been wrong. He explained that he was just trying to keep the peace, but ended up hurting me instead. I told him I couldn't live like that anymore. He agreed and apologized, saying he didn't want me to suffer. Although we don't have kids yet, we worked together to create a clear plan for major events in the future. His mom won't be involved in anything unless I'm completely comfortable, and I won't be comfortable unless she changes her behavior entirely. When I asked him what his mom had said to make him change his mind, he said, she cried. She cried, saying her son was being taken away from her, that she never had a real wedding, and that she'd been abandoned after her divorce. She said she felt lonely and didn't have anyone, claiming she was sick and wanted a real wedding before she died. Oddly enough, she's perfectly healthy. I simply asked him if her tears were enough to manipulate him, would he end up running back to her again? He told me that his friends and dad had helped him see that if he didn't change, he'd lose me. I told him that today was the absolute deadline for me. He had to do these 4 things if I were to continue being engaged to him, assuming he truly cared about our relationship. Cut off contact with his mother and ensure she wouldn't interfere in any of our decisions regarding the wedding. The wedding would also be postponed for another year to see if he would truly keep his promises. Attend counseling, both individual and couples counseling. Talk to his mother about her behavior toward me, with me present during the conversation, because whenever he did it alone, nothing ever changed. Establish clear boundaries and learn how to enforce them. He agreed. Then came the hard part. I showed him my post. I felt awful watching him read the harsh comments. I could see how uncomfortable he was as he read people calling him a mama's boy and the comments about his mother. He looked hurt when he saw people suggesting I should leave him. He kept reading until he came across someone calling him a coward, then handed the phone back to me. He said it was too harsh, but I did it because I wanted him to understand how insane the situation was, even if it was just to save face. As he read the post, he realized the reality of it all and admitted that he deserved the criticism. We called his father Dan, who I no longer refer to as my future father-in-law, because if he doesn't take my side when we speak to his mother, I'll call off the wedding tomorrow. Dan gave Alex another lecture, and Alex finally felt relieved to see that deciding to change was the right move. We agreed to visit Bella's house tomorrow with Dan and Alex's aunt. My dad will also be there. Alex said he would tell his mother that she couldn't make our wedding about her. If she cries or pressures him, he will cut off contact with her. I feel terrible having to do this to a man, but I know I have to. I don't think Bella will change, especially when we all confront her tomorrow. I don't know if Alex will stick to his decision, but I made it clear to him that if he doesn't stand firm, I'm leaving. He can choose me or his mother. That's his decision. He said he chooses me. We'll see. Even though I should probably feel happy, I still feel very uneasy. I'll update after we speak with Bella tomorrow. Update 2. The next day, we, along with our families, went to Bella's house. My mood couldn't be called calm. Every step felt heavy, like I was walking towards an irreversible point. Alex still kept his word, insisting that he wouldn't let his mother ruin our special day. But deep down, I knew that things weren't as simple as they seemed. When we entered Bella's house, she was sitting on the sofa, her eyes red from crying. The atmosphere was filled with tension and unfamiliarity. Alex started the conversation, clearly stating that he wouldn't allow his mother to interfere with our lives anymore. But to my surprise, Bella didn't cry as she usually did. Instead, she sat quietly, as if she no longer had the energy to fight. Alex, she said, her voice calm but firm. You're grown now. You can do whatever you want, but never forget, I am the only one who will always be there for you when no one else is. Just one sentence, softly spoken yet full of meaning, was enough to shake me. Everything suddenly became unclear. I looked at Alex, seeing the exhaustion in his eyes, as if he no longer wanted to fight. He turned to me, his gaze filled with worry. "Sweetheart," he began, "can't you understand my mother? She's all alone. Can't you forgive her for what she's done to us?" I didn't say anything, just stood there, my heart heavy. Why should I have to choose between him and his mother? And did I really want to continue a life where I had to constantly compete for his affection with another woman? I turned to Bella, then back to Alex, and an unexpected decision formed in my mind. "Alex," I said, my voice soft but determined, "I can't live like this anymore. You deserve a happy life, not one where you're constantly torn between me and your mother." I walked out without looking back, even though my heart was breaking. I decided to call off the wedding, not because Alex didn't love me, but because I couldn't live in a relationship where my love was always threatened by another woman. I didn't look back to see Alex trying to call my name. I just felt the weight of the decision I'd made. In the end, I stood at a crossroads, making a choice to give myself a chance to start over, to live for myself and not as someone's shadow. Update 3. A month after deciding to put everything on pause, Alex and I had a long conversation. Our relationship still hadn't returned to normal, but at least we'd both had time to think and gain clearer perspectives on what had happened. We weren't rushing, nor were we trying to fill the void with promises or sweet gestures like before. We decided to give each other space, but without letting time pass without real change. Alex truly changed, not only in how he treated his mother, but also in how he faced our issues. He no longer hesitated when making decisions, and most importantly, he had genuinely learned to listen to and respect my feelings. After his conversation with his mother, Bella stopped trying to interfere in our lives, though her relationship with Alex was still complicated. I also began to reconsider some of the expectations I had for Alex. Not all of my demands had been reasonable, and I learned to communicate with him more patiently, instead of reacting impulsively and rigidly like I had before. We started attending therapy sessions together as promised to learn more about how to build a healthy and solid relationship. Though in the beginning there was still tension and anxiety, each conversation, each time we faced difficulties together, made me feel like we were rebuilding something stronger and deeper. This relationship isn't perfect, but I believe that we can create a future together if both of us are willing to change and understand each other. Then one day, while we were having coffee at our regular cafe, Alex took my hand and looked at me seriously. "I know I hurt you, but I want you to know that I won't let anyone, not even my mom, come between us." I smiled and gently placed my hand over his. "There will be no one else between us, right?" "Exactly," he replied, holding my hand a little tighter. "And this time, I won't back down."